Most men underestimate just how deliberate a woman's attention truly is. It's not accidental. It's not random. And it's rarely casual when she gives it consistently. When a woman likes you, genuinely likes you, her attention becomes intentional. That means she begins to notice you in ways that are far more focused than you may initially realize. Her awareness of you sharpens. Her timing, her glances, even her presence around you. It all starts to carry a rhythm that points to one thing: attraction with purpose. Now, to the untrained eye, it might just seem like she's being friendly or polite, but psychology tells us something different. Human beings are wired to gravitate toward those they're emotionally drawn to. And women, in particular, tend to be more selective with their emotional focus. They don't invest their mental and emotional energy into someone unless there's something about that person that holds their attention. So when she suddenly remembers small things about you, when she starts replying quicker or conveniently shows up where you are, it's not just coincidence, it's conscious alignment. Understand this: interest always creates patterns. And when a woman starts creating proximity, when she places herself where she knows she'll be seen by you, it's not to be passive, it's to be visible. Because when a woman likes a man but isn't yet ready to verbalize it, she'll often express that interest through availability. She'll find reasons to be in your orbit, even when she pretends it's casual. She's curating presence. And there's an emotional layer here too. It's not just physical attention, it's emotional space she starts to hold for you. She may subtly shift the direction of conversations to include you. She might linger just a few seconds longer after most people would have walked away. She might laugh a little harder at your jokes or glance toward you in group settings to gauge your reactions. These aren't just social niceties, they are micro acts of connection, and each one is a clue. But here's where most men miss it. They confuse this soft consistency for coincidence. They ignore the rhythm. Or worse, they overcompensate and begin chasing too aggressively, killing the very mystery that drew her in. What you need to do is observe without assumption. Read her consistency. Watch how often she initiates subtle connection. Pay attention to her patterns, because they are rarely random. And if her attention begins to stand out from the way she treats others, if it starts to feel more personalized, more aligned, more intentional, you can be sure she's not just being friendly. She's investing. This is your signal not to jump, but to anchor. You don't need to move faster. You need to move deeper. Recognize her attention for what it is: a silent invitation. She's given you a doorway into something more. If you're wise enough to see it and confident enough not to force it. Because a woman who likes you will never leave her attention to chance. She chooses you with her presence long before she ever chooses you with her words. The real question is, will you be aware enough to recognize the quiet way she's already reaching for you? Before a woman speaks a single word, her body already begins the conversation. And the truth is, her body rarely lies. When a woman likes you, her body language becomes the silent language of attraction. It's unfiltered, instinctive, and more revealing than any sentence she could put together. You don't need her to confess her feelings to know she's into you. You just need to observe how she positions herself around you when she thinks you're not watching. Here's what's fascinating. Most communication between two people, especially when attraction is involved, is nonverbal. That means tone, posture, eye movement, physical orientation, and facial expression are often doing more of the talking than words ever could. Women in particular are masters of subtle expression. She may not say, "I like you," but her eyes will soften when they meet yours. Her feet will unconsciously point toward you in a group. She'll adjust her hair, lean in just a little too close, or touch her neck when you speak. These aren't conscious tactics. They're emotional impulses, signals from her body that her mind might not be ready to admit yet. And it's not just about what she does toward you, it's also about what she doesn't do with anyone else. If she's touchy or playful only with you, if her energy warms only when you enter the room, that's a differentiating behavior. That's her communicating a deeper pull without putting it into words. Because often, when a woman is drawn to a man but still feeling emotionally uncertain or vulnerable, body language becomes her safe medium. It lets her hint without risking full exposure. But there's a danger here for men who aren't paying close attention. Some confuse friendly body language with flirtation. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm talking about patterned physical openness, consistent, emotionally attuned cues that only emerge when you're present. Her voice may drop slightly in pitch. She may hold your gaze a little longer than what's considered socially typical. Or she may find subtle ways to decrease the physical distance between the two of you. These cues are deeply human. They're primal. And when they come from a place of emotional resonance, they're more reliable than anything she could ever post on social media or say over text. So what should you do when you notice these cues? Nothing drastic. The point isn't to act on every signal. It's to become aware of them. Let them affirm what you already feel. Let them calibrate your energy. Because when you pick up on a woman's body language with maturity and respect, you create a space where she feels safe to express even more. The feminine energy wants to be seen, but not chased. It wants to be read, but not interrogated. It wants to express, but only when it feels understood. So the next time you wonder if she's into you, don't just listen. Observe. Her body may already be telling you everything you need to know. All that's left is for you to receive it, not with ego or assumption, but with calm awareness. Because the man who knows how to read what isn't said will always be steps ahead of the one waiting for permission. When a woman begins to like you, really like you, she doesn't just remain in the background of your life. She starts to create opportunities for personal connection, not by accident, not as a passive bystander, but with intention. And the reason is deeply psychological. Human beings seek emotional safety where they feel emotionally seen. So when a woman senses potential in you, she'll naturally start testing the waters, subtly building a bridge between her world and yours, just to see if you'll meet her halfway. This usually begins with something small. Maybe she brings up something you once said in passing, a goal, a struggle, a memory, and suddenly you realize she remembered. That right there is a quiet but powerful form of intimacy. She's not just listening, she's investing attention. And when a woman starts referencing parts of your life that others easily forget, that's no accident. That's emotional alignment. You'll notice she finds reasons to talk to you, reasons that don't seem forced, but that somehow keep you in her atmosphere. She may tease you lightly, share inside jokes, or even find random excuses to ask your opinion. None of these are random. They're relational anchors. Ways to keep you engaged without stepping too far into vulnerability. It's her way of placing bricks in the emotional foundation. Subtle, soft, but deliberate. And then there's the invitation into her own world. A woman who likes you won't just ask about your day, she'll start sharing hers. And not the surface level details either. She'll open windows into her thoughts, her fears, her dreams. This is where many men fail to pay close enough attention. Because when a woman shares something emotionally significant, she's not just passing time, she's revealing depth. She's giving you a chance to prove that you're not just physically present, but emotionally aware. Now, you may not always realize it in the moment, but those small connections start forming a pattern. And that pattern is this. She's offering access to her mind, her world, her energy. It may not be dramatic or loud, but it's deeply intentional. And only the man who's paying attention will recognize it for what it is, the beginning of something more. But here's what matters: how you respond to these openings. If you brush them off, laugh them away, or fail to reciprocate with emotional presence, she'll shut that door faster than you realize. But if you lean in, not in desperation, but in awareness, You create safety. And safety is what every woman requires to fully step into connection. So understand this clearly. When a woman starts creating these emotional openings, they are not accidents. They are signals. And every signal carries a question. Are you paying attention? Because a woman who likes you won't always say it outright, but she'll give you more of herself in small, consistent ways. It's up to you to see the pattern, honor the invitation, and respond with presence. Because in a world full of men chasing attention, the man who notices intention will always stand apart. When a woman is genuinely attracted to a man, there's a particular shift that happens, not just in how she behaves, but in how she responds to his energy. She doesn't compete with it. She doesn't try to override it. Instead, she begins to respond to it. And what she's responding to more than anything else is his masculine presence, his calm, grounded, intentional energy. This isn't about dominance in the way society misrepresents it. Stability. It's about internal clarity, direction, emotional safety. Masculine energy is not loud or forceful. It's still. It's a presence that says, I know who I am, and I don't need to prove it. And when a woman feels that from a man, her feminine nature begins to open in response. You'll notice a subtle but powerful dynamic unfold. She becomes more receptive, softer, not because she's weak, but because she feels safe enough to relax into that softness. This is what most men miss. Emotional safety isn't just about not hurting her. It's about creating an atmosphere where she doesn't feel like she has to defend, perform, or shrink herself. So when you, as a man, show up consistently with calm self-respect and attentiveness, not neediness or bravado, you start to activate that shift in her. She leans in more. She mirrors your stillness. She slows down around you, not out of hesitation, but because she feels something deeper than chemistry. She feels regulated, and that's one of the most attractive forces you can offer. This is why emotional regulation and purpose are magnetic traits. A man who doesn't get easily shaken, who listens more than he talks, who knows when to hold space rather than rush to fill silence, that man signals to a woman's subconscious, you're safe here. And trust me, when a woman feels that kind of safety, her guard doesn't just come down, it melts. Not because she's trying to please you, but because she no longer feels the need to protect herself from you. Now, this doesn't mean you become passive. It means you lead with clarity. When you make eye contact, you hold it. When you speak, you do so with intention, not as filler. When you touch, even subtly, it's confident, grounded in respect, not urgency. And this energy, this inner command creates a magnetic field around you that naturally invites her to step into her feminine expression. Playfulness, warmth, sensuality. She becomes responsive, not because you're performing or manipulating, but because you're centered. And the woman who likes you will naturally want to flow into that dynamic. You won't have to chase her. Her energy will meet yours halfway. So if you're wondering whether she's into you, ask yourself, what kind of space are you creating with your presence? Because the woman who's drawn to you on a deeper level won't just react to what you do. She'll respond to who you are. And that kind of attraction, that's the one that doesn't fade. That's the one that builds something real. The kind of connection where both energies, masculine and feminine, can finally breathe. One of the clearest yet most often misunderstood signs that a woman is into you is emotional curiosity. And I want you to really understand what that means, because this is where most men miss the signal entirely. Emotional curiosity isn't about her just being polite or making small talk. It's about her investing energy to understand who you are beneath the surface. It's when she starts asking you questions, not because she's obligated to, but because she genuinely wants to know what shapes you. When a woman likes you, she doesn't just want to know what you do. She wants to know why you do it. She becomes intrigued by your thought process, your childhood, your fears, your worldview. She listens differently. She leans in. And this is crucial. She follows up on previous conversations. That means if you mentioned a business idea last week, she'll ask you how it's going today. If you casually mentioned a family issue in passing, she'll circle back and ask if you're okay. That's not random. That's intention rooted in emotional investment. Now, this kind of curiosity doesn't just come from flirtation, it comes from empathy-driven attraction. She's feeling something toward you, but perhaps doesn't know how to articulate it yet. So her instinct is to connect. And connection begins with curiosity. It's how women emotionally bond, with questions, shared vulnerability, and mutual exploration. But here's where things get even more layered. Her questions aren't always direct. Sometimes they come through humor, sometimes through teasing, sometimes through thoughtful silence after you've said something meaningful. She might not always know the right question to ask, but her attention, that lingering pause, that slight look of concern, that thoughtful nod, is doing all the speaking. And yet, many men misread this. They dismiss her curiosity as friendliness, or worse, try to match it with shallow charm. Don't do that. Instead, meet her curiosity with presence. When she opens a door into a deeper conversation, walk through it, not with performance, but with honesty. You don't have to spill your entire life story, but you do need to let her feel that you're emotionally available, not just physically present. This is how emotional momentum builds between two people. When a woman begins to see that her interest isn't one-sided, that you can hold space, answer with depth, and respect the exchange, she'll relax into that connection. And the moment she begins to trust that emotional space with you, you're no longer just someone she likes. You become someone she feels. So the next time she asks something personal, something real, pause before you rush to answer. Recognize it for what it is, an opportunity. A moment to deepen the bridge she's quietly trying to build. Because attraction without curiosity fades. But when she's asking about the inner layers of your world, that's not just attraction, it's emotional interest. And when that spark is nurtured, it doesn't just light a flame. It creates a connection strong enough to last long after the initial spark fades. There's something subtle, almost invisible, that starts happening when a woman is deeply attracted to you. And it's this. She begins to prioritize your presence. Not just your physical presence, but your emotional and psychological presence. She subtly adjusts her schedule to align with yours. She gives you more of her time, more of her availability, even if she doesn't explicitly say it. Because when a woman starts to make room for you in her life, she's telling you, without saying a word, that she sees you as more than just another passing connection. Think about it. We make time for what matters. And in today's world, where distractions are endless and time is the one thing nobody ever seems to have enough of, offering someone your undivided attention is a deeply personal form of investment. So if she's replying to your messages quickly, if she's making the effort to meet in person, or even subtly making herself available in moments when she would typically be guarded, those are not coincidences. That's intentional energy being directed toward you. But it goes deeper than that. A woman prioritizing your presence also means she begins to adjust emotionally. She becomes more attuned to your moods, more sensitive to your energy. She picks up when something is off even before you say it. That kind of emotional sensitivity isn't born out of obligation. It's born out of emotional resonance. You're no longer just someone in her orbit. You're someone she's started syncing with. Now, this is where emotional maturity becomes essential, because when a woman starts to prioritize you in these ways, she's also becoming more vulnerable, more emotionally exposed. That's not a game. That's not manipulation. That's trust forming. And trust is fragile. If you meet that energy with indifference, distraction, or selfishness, she won't necessarily lash out, but she will withdraw quietly, completely. Women don't always announce when they're hurt. but they always respond to how safe or unsafe they feel in your presence. So how do you honor that? You show up. You become consistent. You remain emotionally aware. When she creates space for you in her life, you don't just fill it with physical presence. You bring intentional energy. You meet her with presence, not performance. And most importantly, you understand that when a woman chooses to make you a priority, it's not because she's weak. It's because she's brave enough to offer something real. Too many men confuse availability with desperation, but when a high-value woman begins to show up for you, really show up, it's not out of lack, it's out of recognition. She sees something in you that feels aligned with her vision of partnership, presence, or purpose. That's rare, and it should be respected accordingly. So the next time you notice a woman quietly prioritizing you, giving you more of her time, more of her energy, more of her focus, don't brush it off. Recognize it for what it is, a silent invitation to be someone worth prioritizing in return. Because when you meet quiet devotion with conscious presence, you don't just become the man she's drawn to, you become the man she can trust. And trust, when nurtured with respect and maturity, is the foundation of any unforgettable connection.